Do you think there's gonna be that one comment that's like, oh, I can't believe he would make techno on a Buchla?
Yup. Okay, hey everybody, welcome back to Patch Pals. Today we're going to take a look at some semi-modular synths of different formats and sizes and see how they play together.
For a lot of people starting out with semi-modular synths, their first instinct is to start pairing them up with additional modules to inch further into the realm of Eurorack and kind of expand on their functionality in that way. And that's a totally valid way to do things. However, we think you can get a lot of musical mileage out of pairing those instruments up with effects pedals or other semi-modular instruments.
Today I'm taking a look at two of my most favorite semi-modular synthesizers, the Moog DFAM and the Herbs & Stones Liquid Foam. Now, while the DFAM is a drum machine that uses 1/8" jacks and the Liquid Foam is a 303 style sequencer and synthesizer that uses banana jacks, they actually have a lot more in common than you might think. Luckily for us, the DFAM makes it incredibly easy to output 5-volt triggers, and by using this format converter, we can easily send voltages from and to each of the units in a bidirectional way. Having the DFAM be the trigger source for the Liquid Foam's clock, we can manually trigger patterns and start the sequencer in time with our manual trigger gates, like this. So this unique trigger functionality is actually bidirectional as well. We can use the random gates from the Liquid Foam into the velocity input of the DFAM to get randomly spaced out gates for our kick drum pattern. So that's going to sound something like this. We can take this patch even farther by using another channel on the sequencer on the Liquid Foam to trigger our VCF mod, which is going to give us kind of a more snary or sharp and noisy attack type sound. We can also just manually trigger the Liquid Foam sequencer with the DFAM, and Jacob is going to come and spin the frequency knob while I hammer on this thing.
So besides using them for syncing up drum machines and other modular instruments, we can also make use of our clock signals and use those to synchronize something like a delay pedal with the sequences that we have going. Some delay pedals have no issue accepting streams of gates or triggers outright, but some are expecting a shorting style tap tempo switch, and in those situations you're going to want to use a V-trig to S-trig converter cable to get those working properly. And that's what I'm doing here, using the sequencer clock output from the Subharmonicon and going into the tap switch on the memory man. I personally really enjoy blending synchronous and asynchronous delays. So for this example here, I'm running the Subharmonicon into the Strega, processing it with its delay and filter, and then going from there into the memory man. What this does is it allows me to use the Strega to kind of smear the sequences coming out of the Subharmonicon into this kind of dense, washy texture. And then afterwards, because the memory man is synchronized to the sequencer, what this does is it lets me use the Strega's delay to kind of smear and make time ambiguous coming out of the Subharmonicon, but then I can compensate for that lack of time afterwards by adding in tempo sync delay from the memory man.
For my second setup looks very similar to my first one actually, in the sense that I've got a drum machine and a mono synth. However, the way that I've chosen to interface these devices is drastically different than the last setup. The unique thing about this setup is that we're not using voltage necessarily to sync and sequence the rhythmic and melodic parts of this patch. We're actually using the envelope follower, which is creating a voltage based on the incoming audio that's providing our modulation. So it's going to be reactive all the time, no matter what you do on your drum machine.
A common path that we see new semi-modular folks go down often is supplementing their instrument with Eurorack effects modules. But if you have any effects pedals that have expression inputs, you might be able to put those to use in a way that's nearly as dynamic and reactive as Eurorack modules. I've got the easel command patched up here, and this particular instrument is a great candidate for modulating effects pedals because of all the control voltage sources that it has available in a single instrument. To get most of the useful voltages working though, I do need to make use of a format jumbler. I'm using the UTL-1 from Low Gain Electronics to convert all of our voltages that are present on these banana plugs, converting those into 3.5mm jacks. And then from there, I'm using a floating ring cable to go from the 3.5mm jacks into the TRS inputs for the expression pedal control. For the actual effects, I'm making use of the LEM from Mastro Valvola, which I'm using as a tape-inspired multi-head delay, and the GFI Skylar, which is just a super cool multi-purpose reverb. For my actual Buchla patch, I've got the Sensomorph plugged into the USB host port on the back, which allows me to, of course, control the pitch of the oscillators, but I can also get pressure from these purple jacks on the front and patch those to various places within the system, but I'm also running that out into the Skylar to get these immense swells of reverb every time I dig into the surface. I'm also using the random voltage present at the white jacks, running that into the LEM to add random moments of wow and flutter to the sound. Did you ever imagine this would be a moment you would witness when you assumed the manager role here, Bryce?
What was I saying? Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully you picked up a cool new trick or two or some fresh inspiration on how to use your semi-modular synths with the rest of your gear in your studio.
Let us know down in the comments how you like to use your semi-modular instruments in interesting ways. Be sure to like and subscribe and give your pets an extra cuddle tonight.